A wild night in the West Bonner County School District last night, where they could be looking for their 5th superintendent in a little more than a year, maybe their 6th. In March of 2022, the superintendent, who'd served for 8 years, decided to take the same job in Kamiah. After an involved selection process, they offered the job to Dr. Michael Roby, who turned it down in the final stages. Then they gave it to Jackie Branham, one of their other finalists, who then abruptly resigned in March of this year. Since then, Susie Lucky, the longtime Bonner County teacher, was appointed by the Board of Trustees as interim superintendent, a term that ends at the end of this month, which brings us to last week when Lucky was named a finalist for that job full-time, along with Idaho Freedom Foundation analyst and former state superintendent candidate Brandon Durst. Ultimately, the board chose Durst by a 3-2 vote. So if you're keeping score at home, that's Anselmo, Robbie, Branham, Lucky, Durst, 5 who have been named since March of 2022. Would you believe they could make it 6 by tomorrow? Because we were just sent the agenda for the meeting, which is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. And first item under new business consideration, or under new business, I should say, it's an action item. They're going to vote on it. Consideration and approval of rescinding the selection of superintendent candidate, meaning it looks like they might take back Brandon Durst's appointment to run their district. And you can attribute that to what happened in last night's West Bonner County Special School Board meeting.
Point of order.
Would you like me to continue?
Point of order.
Good idea, guys. This is so good for a struggling district. So good.
Yeah, spend all the money on a superintendent.
Point of order.
We're right.
So,
If you can't, be quiet.
Whew, and that was just the beginning. About 50 people showed up last night. Not the most they've seen at these meetings, but probably the most vocal. And that outburst was right after they began or finished reading out loud the benefits Brandon was asking for in his superintendent contract. In addition to the $105,000 salary, he asked for things like 12 sick days. He wanted 20 vacation days and to be paid for any unused vacation days. He wanted the use of a car, which is supposed to be less than 10 years old and all-wheel drive, instead of being reimbursed for mileage. He wanted the district to pay for half of his Percy retirement contribution. Half, not 10%, 50% he wanted. He also wanted to be able to work remotely. He wanted a housing allowance of $500 a month. He wanted $2,000 in moving expenses. And he wanted to be able to eat lunch at any school in the district for free in the cafeteria. He also wanted to be able to keep his consulting and speaking engagements. And he wanted he and his wife to be protected from any lawsuits brought against him as superintendent. And if he were to be fired, he wanted it require a super majority of the board instead of a simple majority. Well, this is America, and you can literally ask for the moon if you'd like, and this is why we have negotiations. And the trustees decided to do that last night during their 4-hour meeting, going over the contract request line by line. But as they were doing that, things got heated.
My money comes from the children. If I were to get reimbursed to drive to my athletic director meetings, it comes straight out of these parents' pockets. Do you get that?
You want to get out of here?
But it was definitely a fiery meeting. They were not prepared for us to be vocal and have actually information to combat them. I mean, they've gotten away with a lot in the last year and a half where there hasn't been a lot of pushback.
Meeting's over. Meeting's over. Meeting's over. We're done.
What did you expect from last night? Did you expect that kind of response?
I thought we were going to go in there. They were going to vote it in, everything in it, and we were going to be out of there, and the people were going to be furious. But the fact that our community demanded them read that line by line and go through it was incredible to me. I was really proud of the community, that everybody was reading it as they were reading it. If they said a word differently, they were calling them out, which is what we've needed for 2 years.
And that was only 12 minutes into the meeting when that fracas took off. Whitney said it stayed pretty much that intense the whole night, with audience members, as you heard, complaining about how the district's budget is already tight. And it wasn't even open for discussion. It wasn't supposed to be a back and forth between the people on the dais and the people in the audience. How can we consider a 6-figure salary, was the question they were asking, with all these other benefits? But they did consider it for like 4 hours, with 2 of the trustees who last week voted for Durst just getting up and walking out at about the 3-hour mark.
I'll see you later.
So Troy's off the board, is that what we're seeing right now?
I've just about had enough.
Oh, no.
Okay?
That the board managed to run a red pen through Durst's contract addendum. And here's how that new contract ended up at the end of the night. They reduced his vacation days from 20 to 15. They struck the request of a car. They will pay mileage instead, like they always have. They struck the half of the Percy contribution, striking the work remotely part. They strike the $500 monthly housing allowance, and they got rid of the moving expenses as well. Forget about the free meals at schools. Nope, teachers are going to pay for those, or always pay for those, so he should as well. They also got rid of the part asking for his wife to be covered by legal counsel and the part where termination would require a supermajority. One of the requirements for Durst to get this district job, though, or any superintendent job in Idaho, he has to have 4 years of full-time certificated experience working with students while under contract with an accredited school, meaning he's got to have a certificate to do it, which Durst doesn't have. However, one of the conditions for Durst to get this job, and according to the board chair, he's supposed to apply for an emergency provisional certificate with the State Board of Education. But to get that provisional certificate, Idaho law requires no less than 2 years of college training as a teacher. And they have to have a current Idaho certificate. It has to be current, which Durst also doesn't appear to have. He does have a degree in political science, a master's in public administration from Boise State, but no training or experience with an accredited school. So even that provisional certificate seems to be kind of up in the air. Oh, and get this. Last October, while Durst was running for state superintendent, the chair of Boise State's College of Education, where Durst got his master's degree, she wrote a letter to whom it may concern, concerning Durst's qualifications for the job. A letter several hundred of the West Bonner County School District parents emailed to the board, which the chair claimed he didn't know about until after he voted for Durst as his new superintendent.
This letter seeks to clarify why Boise State University's Executive Educational Leadership Program is not able to offer an institutional recommendation to Brandon Durst for certification as an Idaho administrator or superintendent.
Not able to offer an institutional recommendation to Brandon Durst for certification as an Idaho administrator or superintendent. Pretty plain. Mostly because of that 4-year full-time certification requirement. Okay, so what about the salary? Back in May, Mr. Durst took to Twitter to say this. At no time in Idaho history have school districts had access to more money, from tens of millions in federal COVID funds to a new infusion of over $450 million in new state support. Districts are swimming in cash. Asking patrons who are drowning in property tax bills to fork over more of their hard-earned money is both unnecessary and, in some cases, unethical. He was talking about school bonds and levies being voted on last May, but that could also apply to his contract requests, and explain why he asked for that 6-figure salary and all the addendums. Districts are swimming in cash, he said. By the way, that teacher we spoke with, Whitney Ehrman, she's losing her job this year because her salary was tied to the levy that did not pass in West Bonner County. $105,000 for a superintendent who oversees a district of just about 1,000 students. For some perspective, the superintendent of the West Ada School District, which has about 40,000 students, that'd be Derek Bubb, he makes $210,000 a year. But 6 figures isn't unheard of in Idaho, even in districts comparable to West Bonner County. So maybe Bubb is just underpaid. We did try to speak with one of those trustees today, and Brandon Durst. Both messages went unanswered. But it does look like now, at least the answer those vocal parents and teachers are hoping for during last night's board meeting, that Brandon Durst will not be the next superintendent of West Bonner County School District, well, that answer could come at tomorrow, 4:30.